So we're learning Perek Mem Zayin. This is very appropriate before Pesach, because the whole Perek Mem Zayin is B'chol Der V'der. Like, Chayev Adam Liris Atzmei Ki'ilu Hu Yatza Hayem Mitzrayim. Yeah, so what's going on over here? In Perek Mem Vav, the Alter Rebbe started another meditation, a new Isbeinus, and he said it's that it's Shava L'chol Nefesh and Karav. Somebody comes to help you, so naturally you feel appreciation, and the greater the person is, the greater your response. I mean, this is it's basic human nature. So it's Karav Ma'id, and it's Shava L'chol. How does that? It's a very nice. I understand that it's human nature. I understand that it's incredible that the Eibishter came and he took us out of Mitzrayim. Amazing. But what is it that that was a long time ago. Somebody brought a delivery. It's in the fridge for you. Yeah. The code for the middle closet. Okay, shkoyach. Okay. So the Alter Rebbe says. So now, like this, in Mishnayos, it's a short perek. So just in Mishnayos, brachas, right? The first Mishnayos that every child learns. The Mishnah, the last Mishnah of the first Perek, has the Ma'aseh of Rabbi Eliezer ben Azariah. When he says, "Oh, I'm like 70 years old and I didn't know," right? Laman tisker esim tzeischa meretz Mitzrayim kol yemei chayecha. Every day of your life, you have to remember Yetzias Mitzrayim. Okay. Then there's a Mishnah in Psachim that we say in the Haggadah that b'chol der v'der chayev adam liris atzmei kilo yatsa Mitzrayim. So the question is. All the Rishonim and in Jewish thought, there's always this question: what's the difference, especially by the Poskim? What's the difference between Yetzias Mitzrayim every day, the Zechira that you have to remember Yetzias Mitzrayim every day, and what's the difference Pesach? In what way is the memory Pesach? In what way is Pesach different than the entire year? Every day you have to remember that you went out of Mitzrayim. Well, what's Pesach night? How is it different? It's a different mitzvah. What happens? So shkoyach. So this is something that, right? So the Rambam, he has a little bit of a different version. He says b'chol der v'der chayav adam leharois. He's speaking about Pesach night. We're not talking about, and he says lehara is to show. In other words, Pesach night you have to sit derecherus haseba, and you're drinking wine. I mean, that's Pesach night. On a daily basis, you don't have to do the actions of cherus on a daily basis. On a daily basis, you have to remember. You have to reflect. It's the inyan of Zechira. Now, the Alter Rebbe, the way the Alter Rebbe presents this whole discussion is that the Mishnah in Psachim is mashlim the Mishnah in Brachos. They're not two different things. Leman tizker esim tzescha kel yemei chayecha. You have to remember what's the inyan of Zechira. Zechira is believe. And why do you have to remember? Because every single day you're going out of Mitzrayim. B'chol der v'der, b'chol yom v'yom. That's like the lashon of the Rambam. The Rambam says, "Ata, now you're leaving Mitzrayim now." Right? Even the Rambam, some people want to say what he means to say as now means not your parents. Like we say in the Haggadah, Lo yasaveseinu, right? Not the previous generation, but us. But the Alter Rebbe learns Hayoim, right? Yetzias Mitzrayim you're experiencing right now. So again, this is coming to answer. It's a very nice idea that the Eibishter took us out. It's a beautiful mashal, but it happened many, many years ago that he took us out of Mitzrayim. How should that awaken in me Avas Hashem right now? So what he's saying is, no, Yetzias Mitzrayim b'muvan ruchani, in a spiritual sense, is like it's happening right now. I was listening to a shir from Reb Mendel Vechter that he gave in the last few years when there were still chatufim. Right? There were In other words, people were in captivity. He says, imagine a person is in captivity and someone comes to him and tells him, if you press this button, in an instant you'll be in a 5-star hotel by the beach. Right? Here you are, languishing, you don't have food, and then in a second, it says, it's 1,000 times more. Right? In other words, the
600,000 times more.
Right? Yeah. The place where we're going to go to is beyond anything in Elam Haza Agashmi, because the mitzvahs, the Eibusher is giving us an opportunity to connect with Him on the deepest level, the greatest connection to the Eibusher through mitzvahs. Right? In other words, total freedom of the Helem of Elam Haza. Olam, the word Olam means Helem. Total freedom from concealment. I just want to talk about something else for a second. In other words, just to think about where we're holding in Tanya. The Alter Rebbe explained in Perek Lamed Vav that we see in creation that the purpose is Dira B'Tachtonim. Right? How do we see it? Because all the other worlds have some Edelkeit. There's some Oyer. In this world, there's no Oyer. So it can't be that that the purpose is for a lower level. It's for not. There's no revelation. In other words, what happens is in this world, we have an experience that no other world has. We feel like we're independent creations. In all of Seder Ishtalshalus, it doesn't matter, even the lowest level, but in Ruchnius, there's a sense of dependence, of origin. Where do I come from? Every level, in other words, when it comes to our own Ruchnius, when it comes to our intelligence, when it comes to our emotions, we're always looking for the cause. It was programmed into me psychologically, my parents, my grandparents, it's intergenerational trauma. There's always a source. The regesh of a Gashmi is Mitzviyosei Me'atzmosei. That's the way he feels. I'm an independent being. It's a little bit philosophical. Atzilus can't give you this feeling. It doesn't have it. Bria can't give you this feeling. No spiritual world could be mashpia to you a sense of yeshamiti. We feel like yeshamiti. This hergish is only b'keach hanivra. And that's the proof, so to speak, of the dira b'tachtoinim aspect. In other words, the great chidush of the Alter Rebbe is that the greatest connection to Hashem is mitzvahs. Physical mitzvahs. In all other schools, to them, mitzvahs, that's the lowest level. Even simple people could do mitzvahs. And then more people are more elevated, they get to learn Torah. And then there's people that are more able, small amount, right? A small percentage, they have Ava V'yirah. The Alter Rebbe comes, the Alter Rebbe turns the whole thing on his head. Everything that happened until now, what did the Alter Rebbe do? The Alter Rebbe says, Ava V'yirah, even the greatest tzaddik, Ava V'yirah, Yesh Mi Shoihev. That's not the Tachlis. Torah is better, because it's not Metzias, it's the Eibishter's Chachma. It's not your wisdom, so we're doing better. There's already more bittul. It's not Yesh Mi Shoihev, it's Chachmas Hashem. Oh?
What does Yesh Mi Shoihev mean?
Yesh Mi Shoihev means, Ava V'yirah is a feeling. A feeling is your feeling, the way you feel. It's an expression of you. So there's a little yeshes. Torah is about Hashem's wisdom. Oh, it's already better. Mitzvahs, it's the greatest. Because in Torah, you're understanding something. So it leaves room for you. The experience is a seichel experience. Mitzvahs is complete bittul. The Eibishter tells me to do it, and I do it. So what ends up happening is, by all the other schools of thought, the Pesha Yisrael, they have a shaykhs to the lowest rung. Then there's a smaller group that has a connection to Torah. Then there's even a smaller group that's doing the ultimate. The Alter Rebbe comes, he turns everything on its head. He's like, no. The Avaviyira pool, that's only for a few people. That's the lowest level anyway. In other words, in the inyan of Tachlis, in the Dira B'Tachtainim, learning Torah, it's a bigger pool. It's shaykh to more people. Oh, it's getting more bittul, more. Oh, now, mitzvahs. Only the Eibishter, just following his instructions. Every Yid is shaykh, even Pesha Yisrael. Every single Jew is shaykh to mitzvahs. Right? So now, in that, right?
First, second paragraphs, the Shovas can be higher than the Shovas from the top.
Fine, there's Edel, yeah. But the Alter Rebbe explained, that's also part of the Kavanah. The Eibishter also wants you to be connected to him with your emotion. Yeah, it's true. So now the Alter Rebbe comes along and the Alter Rebbe says, what's Yetzias Mitzrayim? Darkness, Helem, is Mitziyusei Me'atzmusei. I'm an independent existence. I don't care about an Eibishter. I'm not thinking about a source. I do what I want. That's the ugliness. A person has a choice. Yetzias Mitzrayim. What does it mean? A person has a choice to go away from his selfish, egocentric place and to say, let me do a mitzvah. By doing the mitzvah, to transcend all limitations. That's literally going from the slavery at the highest, like the worst slavery, to be poshet meshuka, drowning in gashmias, to go to the highest freedom. That's a mitzvah. Let's take a look inside. Is there going to be Ma'ariv? It's not looking too much.
The reason I came to check.
Thank you. So if you're looking for a minyan, they'll be in the half hour Gsav Sefer. V'chol der v'doyer, v'chol yoim v'yoim. So the way the Alter Rebbe presents this, every day, a person should see himself. Like he literally left today. It's not thousands of years ago. What's this Yitzias Mitzrayim? Vihi, in the spiritual sense, Yitzias Nefesh Alikis. The Nefesh Alikis is being freed, Memaiser Aguf, from the body, Mishcha Dechavia, the skin of the serpent, the Klippe, Likolo. The Nefesh Alikis could become completely one, Beyichud Erein Seif Baruch Hu, to be completely one with the Eibishter. Al Yedei, how do you do that? Eisach HaTorah v'amitzvahs b'chol, by learning Torah and by doing mitzvahs. Now, what he says is that it's important. There's a key element that's necessary that a person has to receive. A person has to be mekabel upon himself el malchus shamayim. I think this is also, by the way, this is in the Rambam. The Rambam says that a goy who does Sheva Mitzvahs B'nei Noach, but he does it based on his seichel, not because, he says a goy has to do Sheva Mitzvahs B'nei Noach because the Eibishter through Moshe Rabbeinu gave he says if he does Sheva Mitzvahs B'nei Noach based on his own convention, his own understanding, he says he has a very interesting lashon that he's not Chasidei Umis Ha'olam. Yeah? In other words, because if a goy is Mekayim Sheva Mitzvah B'nei Noach, he gets Gan Eden. He gets.
But how is he even able to do it?
One second. Listen, good. In the 7 he has. 1 second. And then he says, there's 2 girsois in the Rambam. And he says, Einoi mechsidei umis ha'olam. And there's one girsa is Ela mechach mehem. And the second girsa, the older girsa, is Veloy Mechachmeim. He's not even a Chacham. He's not. In other words, what the Rambam is saying is, it only becomes Sheva Mitzvahs B'nai Noach when it's divine. When the reason you're doing it is because Hashem said. If you're doing it because of your seichel, then a little bit changes in your brain and you do something else.
Who's teaching them to do it because it's divine? Nobody.
What do you mean? It's the job. The Rambam says it's the job of the Jewish people.
It makes sense. No, they know it makes sense, and that's what they observe.
No. Why?
They believe in the Eibusher.
God, of course.
But they don't do it because they understand it's divine. Therefore, I should do it. They do
Of
it
course.
No, they do it because they
No.
they accept the Eibusher.
I've never seen the other.
When you tell them, you
Right
tell
now,
them to
we
do it
live in a
because-
country. Right now, the country's turning.
Yeah, but then,
There's a revival.
to believe in the God,
There's a revival because of all the horror.
Yeah, they believe in God, and they even believe in the Yidden, and they know that this is their shutfus to the
no,
to
they
becoming
qualify.
to becoming.
So now what the Alter Rebbe is saying here is that this doing a mitzvah is only has this effect of freeing you from golus if before you do the mitzvah you're mekabel el malchus shamayim. You say, I accept Hashem as my king. And now we understand, especially al pi Chassidus, why in Kriya Shema the order is the way it is. In other words, what does it say? Why you makdim parsha Shema levahoyim shemaya sheikabel olav el malchus shamayim tchila v'achar kach el mitzvahs. So like this, it makes sense. Hashem, but in a deeper understanding, otherwise it's not mitzvahs.
Because the whole thing of the mitzvah is only that the Eibusher made that relationship with you. It's not like he gave something and it's out there. It was
Right.
so. Therefore, you have to. If you don't, accept
You have to
it,
acknowledge,
you
right?
don't acknowledge him, then you don't get.
Yeah, that's. So he says, "Ubefrat bekabolas malchus shamayim b'Kriya Shema." Yeah. So generally speaking, when you do Torah and mitzvahs, you're connecting to the Eibishter. You're having a yichud with Eirei Sof, and you're lifting yourself up from golus. But especially in Kriya Shema, Shabbat mekabel umamshich olav yichudi is barich befeirush. You verbalize, you say clearly, ba'amrei Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. Saying Hashem Echad means that there's nothing else. In other words, I am giving myself over. I'm dedicating myself to do Hashem's will. Ukommission is violated, like he explained earlier, that the word Elokeinu, which is possessive, our Eibishter, how do we have the right to say that Hashem is our king? How could Avram say, Hashem is my God, Elokei Avram? He's the Eibishter of the whole world. No, because in your life, in Avram Avinu's life, we see that his director is the Eibishter. The Eibishter is the only one who gives instructions. So when a Yid does a mitzvah, that's our Eibishter. We show that we're the Eibishter's agents. By Avram Avinu was every second, we'll soon see. Lefi shahaya batal. Avram Avinu was completely v'nichlal b'yichud eretz baruch hu. So everything he did, he's completely one with Hashem. He says, Rak shavram zochol lazeh b'maisa v'hiluchi b'kodesh madrega madrega. Avram zocha means Avram did it himself. He achieved it. He attained it. He did all of this. Avram traveled, of course. Avram traveled. Hanegba, he traveled to Dorim, but al pi Chassidus, it also means in Avodas Hashem. It says in the pasuk, Vayavoy Avram traveled till Shechem. Right? I know Yossi came, so we have a gematria. Right? So Shechem is the gematria 5 times the word chesed. There's 5 chasodim, right? We're gonna, by the Afikoimon, we're going to have 5 gevuris, right? This chesed breaks down into 5 parts. Avram, every part of him was permeated.
Was it 370?
no, Chesed 72.
Yeah.
No, where do
350. Yeah, 360.
Okay, yeah. So Shechem, right? So the That Avram Avinu, what does it mean? He traveled till he came to Shechem. He traveled till every part of his chesed, all 5 chasadim were completely dedicated to the Eibishter. So that's Avram Avinu. He himself drew Hashem into his life, and he became completely batal.
But technically, the fact that, especially that we're saying this about Abraham, is if we acknowledge it, then the reason of doing this in advance is chas v'sholom if something happens after the fact, and even though we sort of veer the fact that we still do the mitzvah, even though maybe it's corrupted, so to speak, but because we did it, is it automatically now, it's known that that's who you're...
Right. So basically what the Alter Rebbe says now is that Avram Avinu, he worked for it. For us, the Eibishter gave it to us b'matana, that if we do a mitzvah one time, the wires are connected.
No, but even if after when we do the mitzvah, we're holding in a place where there's whether it's
a person did an aveira,
whether there's the yesh or it's not committed to, okay, this is the fact that we were makabel in the morning or whenever it was that we were makabel it, so it's not, even though it seems like it's a stira.
Yeah, we could go
acknowledges where
right. There's 2 parts. One is we could go back to goals, and the other is that if we're makabel it in the morning, then every mitzvah we do the whole day is a direct line. Even if we're distracted or whatever, right? So he says, Aval anachnu. Number 1, Yerusha. Yerusha, you don't, a baby, 1 day old, it doesn't matter. It's a Yerusha. The Eibishter gave it to us as an inheritance. Umatana, same idea. It's a gift. It's not, what we earned, whatever. Yerusha matani ilonu. The Eibishter gifted it to us. Shenasan lonu. The Eibishter gave us as teirase. And, like we were discussing Shabbos, Maisa with the Rebbe Rasha, Bichtei in Himmel, und the Ksovim lo zechaich. Anon nafshi Ksovis Yehovis, the Eibishter and his Chochma are one. The Eibishter gave us, when the Eibishter gave us his Torah, he gave us himself. Right? That's our, he says, Ham yuchodim b'mohusei v'atzmusei yizborech b'tachlis hayichud. V'harei zeh ki ilu nosan lanu es atzmei kivyochol. It's as if the Eibishter gave us himself. Now, ki'ilu, we're going to learn the Bar Mitzvah Maimer. What does ki'ilu mean? Right? So, now, Kameshikosa b'Zeir HaKodesh, the Zeir says, Al Pasuk, V'yikchu li truma. Says the Zeir, that the word li means oisi. The li, keleimer oisi. V'yikchu oisi. You're taking me. The Eibishter says, you're taking me. So if that's the case, if the Eibishter says, you're taking me, so Havalei Lameimar, it should have said, Utruma. Why does it say Truma? So he says, because the word Truma, says the Zayar, is Torah Mem, the Torah that was given in 40 days. So V'yicholi, how do you take Hashem? Truma. Through Torah. Through Torah, we take Hashem. Yeah, Elu mishum lekul echad ayin shom heitu. That's the pshat in the Zohar. The Zohar shakasa. That's also Zohar sha'imrim. That's also what we say in davening. Vatiten lanu Hashem alekeinu ba'ava. Right. So, what does it mean in pshat? Hashem, in your loving kindness, you gave us Yom Tov. How does the Alter Rebbe say al pi chassidus? Hashem, in your loving kindness, you gave us yourself. Vatiten lanu Hashem alekeinu. You gave us the Eibishter. That it's Elekeinu, it's ours. And that's the meaning of what we say in Sim Sholim. Ki be'er panacha nasata lanu Hashem Elekeinu. Then it says Teiras Chaim. It's the same thing. Hashem Elekeinu, Teiras Chaim. It's one thing. Teiras Chaim is kul echad with the Eibishter. Says the Alter Rebbe V'lazeh. Therefore, because the Eibishter gave us, it's a matana, not like Avram Avinu. The Eibishter gave it to Yidden. So Yidden have possession over the Torah. So therefore, ein meinei alanu, there's nothing that could hold us back. Midveikus hanefesh biyechude ve'edi yizbarech, ela haratzen. The only thing is that we have to want to be connected with the Eibishter. That has to be our decision. Now, the Alter Rebbe, in Perek Mem Vav, the Alter Rebbe spoke about what we feel. Like when the Alter Rebbe spoke about at the end of the Perek, this whole point, that even a Amoritz, if he's Mechawel Shabbos, he gets chorus. In other words, it's not that, if you're a tzaddik and you feel that you're connected and then you do Aveda, then you cut off your life. No, every person, even if you don't feel it, your neshama is connected with the Eibishter. So what Alter Rebbe is saying is, in truth, all you need to do is want to be connected to the Eibishter. It's up to you. And if you learn Torah, you're one with the Eibishter. She says, if you don't want, so you remain in the world of Helam. You remain a Gashmi. The moment a person says, no, I want to be connected to the Eibishter, he accepts the word Elikus, meaning Hashem is my master. Hashem is my might. And he says, Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. I'm part of the Echad. Then that's it, you're one. Why? The Ruach, Aisi Ruach, V'amshich Ruach. The Eibishter responds to your interest in being connected. And says the Alter Rebbe, V'hi bechinas Yitzias Mitzrayim. And what the Alter Rebbe is going to say from here till the end of the Perek essentially is that saying Shema and Yitzias Mitzrayim are exactly the same thing. It's the point of Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. I accept Hashem as my king. That's Yitzias Mitzrayim right now. Beruchnius. V'lachein tiknu parshas Yitzias Mitzrayim b'shas kriyash madavka. That's why in Nigla, the third parsha of Shema, it's brought Bechal in the Poskim, whatever, even in the Rambam, when the Rambam says, and the Seder of Kriya Shema is, what's the Seder of Kriya Shema? Shema, v'hoyim shemaya, v'yomer. That's the Seder. Yeah, but I'm saying, what is Shema? Shema includes Yitzias Mitzrayim, even though it's two separate mitzvahs.
In the Agada where it says, by day and by night,
yeah, from brachas, yeah. V'lachein v'af shei mitzvah b'fnei atzma v'loi mitzvahs krishma.
It's not only beruknis, it's begashmis. If you're saying like the fact that you say Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, therefore whatever happens throughout your day, you're being now makabel that's the Eibishter, whether it's good or bad, and therefore.
Right. If you went to Sharm el Sharif or Tandoor,
that's what I'm saying. So therefore, it's your Yitzias Mitzrayim. You're going out of yourself. You're giving yourself up. It's not anymore about you.
But it's still,
right. In the simple Nigla, Hashem did a miracle for us, a major miracle. That's when we became a nation. So we're charged. We have a mitzvah to every day to remember that how this happened. How did I become a Jew? When did we become this people? Oh, the Eibishter took us out of Mitzrayim, that's when it was. If you say the way Rashi says that because he took us out of Shibud, so now we owe him to do mitzvahs. In other words, we have responsibilities every day to do.
Human nature is the day you stop saying thank you is the day you think you did it on your own, right?
Natural status of this world.
Correct. So
going back,
acknowledging that plus.
Right, so but here the Yitzias Mitzrayim aspect is that I have a neshama, and my neshama is in golos, in my material wants, in my guf, and I have an opportunity to free it completely, that it's entirely not limited by Gashmias of the world, that the whole golos of the world, it could be completely free from it by doing mitzvahs and learning Torah.
Who it was? Levitzka who said is the book supposed to be referring about Shemaya?
Levitzka Barditchev, yeah. After mitzvah v'leim mitzvahs krishma kadeisa b'gemara paiskin, people you and then you thank him for freeing you and whatever, all of it, yeah. But the emes, right? So there's something that Rebbe speaks about, and it's brought obviously in many sforim and. Especially the Sforim that, like the Maharal, one of the Maharal Sforim, the set called Sifrei Maharal? Yeah, so one of the Sforim is all about Pesach. whatever it is. So he also deals with, these questions. So one of the ideas is like this. Be'emes, Yerida Tzeireich Aliyah means that the Yerida is already part of the gift. Hashem put something into motion. Where did it start? It started in the Yerida. He gave you a challenge. Now, right, you have an opportunity to rise. So, but the only thing is, we're not going to have a night where we're going to say, oh, thank you, Hashem, for putting us in Mitzrayim. Right? So, because we express gratitude for when the ending happened, but it's not, oh, he put us in, so why he put us out? That's not what we're saying. You understand what I'm saying?
So we acknowledge that he put us in there in the back of our minds or something? We don't know.
The putting us in there is the beginning of the gift.
It's the beginning of taking us out.
We view it as a challenge and an ultimate gift?
I'll say it I'll say it in a slightly different way.
It's
Okay?
the only way for that to happen.
I'll say it in a slightly different way, but it's a delicate thing, right? By the Akedah, Hashem said to Avram, Hashem says, Ata yadaiti, now I know that Yirei Elikim Mata, that you're God-fearing. So the question, what does it mean, now you know? Hashem, he didn't know before? So one of the ways of understanding it, right? What does Rashi say?
He overcame
You remember what Rashi says?
Avram naturally a trait of chesed, so...
No. That's the siches. Rashi says, Hashem said to Avram Avinu, I need you to do this one. Because otherwise, the people around you are going to say that the first 9 weren't sincere.
Very easy. There's no real...
Right? You know what? This is the regular, right? Ata yadaiti. In other words, now, really, not ata yadaiti, but really ata hoidaiti. Now other people know. What I always knew, now other people know.
Sure.
No, right? But there's another pshat, very delicate.
But Moshe did the same thing, but in the middle.
One second, very delicate. When Hashem tested Avram, the test itself, the fact that Avram Avinu realized that he's ready to give his son for the Eibishter, the fact that he went and he walked up the mountain and he tied his hands and feet and he took a knife, that itself brought Avram Avinu to a whole new level. He never did anything like that. His own dedication to Hashem, when Hashem, no, when Avram said, when Hashem said, Ata yadaiti, Hashem is saying, now you Avram, are at a new level. This level, you were never in this level.
So essentially, he wasn't calculated. It wasn't something that he sat down and said he would do. Rather, when the time came, he did it. So
Right,
therefore, he figured out within himself a position that he had towards the Eibishter that he never knew he had.
When a person goes through an incredible experience,
Only afterwards they're able to say,
they look
wow,
back and say, I never knew that I had such koyach
this is
in
my
me.
commitment. This is my...
Right? So when the Eibishter put the Yidden in Mitzrayim, that was the beginning of the journey that later brought them to this great place.
That they could survive.
So we're not going to say, oh, Hashem put us in Mitzrayim, so he took us out, so now we're going to thank him. You understand what I'm saying? Hashem put us through a process that brought us to an incredible level that we could become his nation.
The question should really be, why don't we thank him for putting us in? If we really, believe in the thing.
Right, so that's what I'm saying.
Obviously, you could say that, even though we don't say that.
Right,
we're not
exactly. Elamai, you're not going to say, okay, let's celebrate Yud Aleph Cheshvan, he put us in.
You can do a goymel for what?
Right, exactly. You're not saying a goymel for the day he made me sick.
Too
Right? I'll go upon him. Okay, Ashikoya Chevre, a real Yitzir.